guys, today is chapter 5 of Girls Think of Everything. Today is Azza, Abdelhamid, Faiad, turning plastic into fuel. This one makes me really excited because it's about recycling, and I think that is amazing. The cars of the future are just around the bend. They'll fly, they'll float, they'll drive themselves. They'll be fueled by plastic. Fueling a car or bus or boat or plane with discarded plastic bags and soda bottles sounds preposterous to most people, but Azza Faiad is not most people. As a teenager living in Alexandria, Egypt, Azza was very interested in science competitions and the corresponding challenges they presented. In 9th grade, she began researching the winning projects from the prestigious Intel International Engineering and Science Fair, becoming more and more inspired to undertake her own project. My life was kind of boring, Azza says. I was the kind of student who just keeps studying, and that was not really fun. So I wanted to do something that I enjoyed and that I might also use for my future. Azza was drawn to some pressing real-world problems, specifically eliminating plastic waste, well over 1 million tons per year in Egypt alone, and 33 million tons in the United States. None of it is biodegradable. Millions of fish, birds, and marine mammals die from plastic waste each year, and those numbers are increasing. She also wanted to ease some of the strains of the energy crisis, brought into stark relief for Azza when a refueling stop took over an hour of waiting in line. So I came to the conclusion that I should be tackling these two problems and coming up with a solution to both of them, explains Azza. So I thought, why not reuse this waste as a source of energy? It wasn't a novel idea. That means it wasn't a completely original idea. Others have tried, and some have succeeded in turning plastics into fuel. But what makes Azza's invention unique was her use of a never-before-used catalyst to accelerate, speed up, the chemical reaction necessary to break down the plastic. A catalyst speeds up a chemical reaction, while its own chemical composition remains unchanged, not becoming part of the reaction or the product. And what makes Azza's invention even more tantalizing is its low cost. It took me a while to actually understand all the chemistry behind it, Azza confesses. I had 2 mentors, and they were really the most helpful in the process because I didn't have much experience. Azza spent months researching and experimenting and researching, and still experimenting. She left her family to travel to Cairo, about 2 hours from her hometown, to conduct experiments in a state-of-the-art lab with a team of skilled scientists at the Petroleum Institute of Egypt. One particular catalyst from the research had proven to be the best at cracking and breaking down the plastic, but it was extremely expensive, which meant implementing the process on a large scale would be too pricey. Azza's idea was to search out a catalyst with a very similar chemical composition to the proven, but expensive, catalyst until she found one that would also be low cost. Azza estimates that 1 million tons of plastic waste could generate $163 million worth of fuel substance, in addition to the untold benefits of ridding the planet of the excessive plastic choking landfills and waters. So here's just an illustration. They've funneled plastic into the fuel in the car. I like that illustration. So we ran 3 types of catalysts, and we're running the same experiments with them, she explains. 2 of them were mentioned widely in the research, and the third was this new calcium-based catalyst. We wanted to see the different spectrum of results. The experiments showed that the calcium-based catalyst of Azza's hypothesis not only succeeded in cracking and breaking down the plastic, a process known as catalytic cracking, which produces both gaseous and liquid byproducts, but it worked more efficiently and under lower temperatures, making it potentially safer. The liquid byproducts would become feedstock for gasoline to fuel the likes of cars and buses, while the gaseous byproducts could be used for natural gas to heat homes, for example. And to add to the success, Azza's calcium-based catalyst was low cost, easy to obtain, and easy to ship, thus making it rise above the others. My science project was not about reinventing energy, explains Azza. It was about making this energy cheaper and more efficient, not to mention helping the environment along the way. Azza's goal is to develop a sound business plan for a sustainable waste management system, particularly for developing countries like Egypt, and put her plastics to fuel invention to commercial use. Commercial use would mean like in big, everyone has access to it. She's probably doing it on a smaller scale. Which seems like a good idea, since it appears the future is no longer around the bend, but is actually on the horizon. Already companies are testing flying cars and self-driving cars. Self-driving cars are expected to be in widespread use by the mid-2020s. And so it wouldn't be surprising at all if one day we saw cars powered by the ideas of an enterprising teenager coupled with a big old pile of plastic waste. At a science fair, a male competitor made disparaging comments about her headscarf. Azza says she realized, I'm not here just to win an award. I'm here to change the world's view of women and girls in developing countries, particularly Muslim girls in a scientific community. So a couple of things here. If you recall, I'm trying to think, it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we at Cedar collected bottle caps, and we made 2 recycled benches with all of the bottle caps that we collected, all of that being plastic. That took 800 pounds of plastic to get 2 benches, and it took up a massive space. We had my husband and I had to rent a U-Haul to take these bottle caps to be recycled into benches. When I started, I thought I could store the bottle caps in my closet in my classroom. I thought we would just take Mr. Duda's truck down and recycle the things. But 800 pounds turns out to be a lot of bottle caps, because a bottle cap doesn't weigh very much, so you need a lot of them to make 800 pounds. We ended up having to store the bottle caps in the Mrs. Colley's area. We put them in 16 large, garden-sized trash bags. So 16 of those big giant ones that you might put your yard waste into. Threw them in the U-Haul. We had to use the U-Haul because my husband's truck wasn't big enough, and drove those down to have them recycled. So if we could keep that much waste out of the landfill with just making 2 buddy benches, think of what we could do if we were to use all of that plastic in fuel. I think that would be amazing. I think that this book, well, I checked the date that this book was written. It was written in 2000. So it's a little outdated as far as the driving yourself cars, because we do have some cars that do drive themselves, and they park themselves, and they prevent people from running into other people. They have sensors that can detect if there's something in the way or in the road that you could run into. So we do have self-driving cars, and I'm guessing they may mean even further, like actually driving you somewhere. Like I could say, hey, Sunset Sparkles, that's the name of my car because I love My Little Pony, take me to school, and then it would just take me. That would be pretty awesome. So I am super stoked. I cannot wait to see that put into production. That would be pretty amazing to have all that plastic turned into fuel. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you sometime later.